Good evening. Once again, first we'd like to thank everyone taking out the time, the effort for attending tonight's shir of Talmud Torah B'Rabim. Tonight's shir is dedicated to Eloi Nishmas, the mother of Dr. Harry Dim, Malka Bar Shlomo Alei Shalom, and the Neshama should have an Aliyah. Being that this Shabbos is learning Parshas Chayei, where the Torah tells us that Eliezer is sent on a mission. Avraham Avinu instructs Eliezer to go back to Aram Narayim, Ki El Artzi Meladati Yelech, and find the Shidduch L'Bnei Yitzchak. Go find the Shidduch for Yitzchak. So what happens? Eliezer gets to Aram Narayim, like we all know, and he makes a sign. He makes a siman, and he tells the Rebbeinu Shalom. He says, "V'haya Naira Asher Omer Alea Atino Kadech Ve'Eshteh." It's to the maiden, to the young girl that I'm going to say that I want something to drink. The Yarmah shall tell me, she'll say, you drink. V'gam gemalecha ashke, I'll also give you camels to drink. Oisa yichachto la'avdecha liyitzchak. That's the sign, that's the proof that she's befitting for Yitzchak. U'ba'edak yosisi chesed madoni. And the pasuk says, the Torah continues that he finishes what he's saying. Vahi terem kilu l'dav, and at that moment, Rivka goes out to the well, and kachava, he asks her to drink. She gives him to drink. She gives the camels to drink. Va'ish mishtoyela. He's astounded. He's shocked. And he goes ahead before anything else. Vayikach ish nesem zov bekem mishkola ishleit tzmid ma yodea asar zov mishkola. Before asking any questions, what her name is, where she's from, he takes out the nose ring, he takes out the bracelets, and he proposes a kedushin. He wants to make her a wife for Yitzchak. It's very interesting that in this siman, in this sign that Eliezer did, we find very strong words in Chazal. Where Chazal tell us, the Gemara in Sanhedrin Samachei, the Gemara in Chulin Tzadikei, the Gemara says that Kol Nachash, any superstition, divination, Eliezer ben Avram, any Nachash that wasn't, any superstition that wasn't like the superstition of Eliezer ben Avram is a Nachash. Eliezer is the prime example. He's the paradigm of what it means for someone to do a Nachash. It makes no sense. He didn't even ask her a name. He comes, he makes a sign, he makes a siman, the girl that's going to give me and the camels to drink. That's the proof that she's befitting for Yitzchak.
Why wasn't this checking if she's a Balas Tessa?
Oh, so we're going to get to that. There's a round, we'll get to that time. So like if Yaakov is bringing up, that it's very difficult to take the Gemara at face value. What does this Gemara mean? That Eliezer went ahead and did a Nachash? First of all, we know that Eliezer Eved Avram, he was the Mesek Eliezer, he was Doilo Mashk Mitarasa Shal Rabbi. He's the one who not only took the Torah of Avram Avinu, he gave it over. He was a big tzaddik Eliezer. In Mesechtas Kala Rabasi, which is in back of Seder Nezikin, it's one of the Mesechtas in Shas. It's not learned in Daf Yomi, but the Gemara in Tainus quotes it. The Mesechtas Kala Rabasi says that there were 9 people who went straight to Gan Eden alive. And one of those people was Eliezer Eved Avram. So we'll see as the shir goes on that we can't translate the Gemara literally that he did a Nachash, but in any event the Gemara says in Chulin that he did a Nachash, he did a superstition. In order to better understand this, let's first go to Gemara and Sanhedrin Daf Samachem and Beis. The issue of Lois Nachashu is discussed really in 3 parashas. You have it in Parshas Chayei by Eliezer ben Avram. It's discussed also in Parshas Shoftim and also in Parshas Kedoshim. Says the Gemara, Tana Rabbanan, we learned in the Brisa. What's a menachesh? What does it mean, someone who indulges in superstitions and divinations? What does this mean? Says the Gemara, menachesh, zeh ha'omer pitay nafel mi piv. A person says that a piece of bread fell out of my mouth. Makla nafel mi yadi, I had a stick in my hand which fell out. V'noi karilei ma'acharev, his son called from behind him. Ariv karilei, the raven called him. Tzvi hafsika baderech, he was in the middle of walking in the road and a deer passed. Nachash Remino, if a snake on the right side, Shul Mismaila, or a fox on the left. Well, let's say the tax collector, or the Gabbai comes to collect money from him, he tells him, Al Tasl B'Shachris, it's the first thing in the morning, it's a bad omen, it's a bad sign. If I'm going to give you money right away, the tax collector, it means the whole day is going to be bad. Or says the Gemara, Rosh Chodeshu, he doesn't want to start off paying the taxes, Matzah Shabbasu. That's all the Isser, it's all in violation of Lois Nachashu, of superstition that one can't do. And therefore it seems from the Gemara in Chulin that the Gemara is saying that what Eliezer did to create a siman, to create a sign, without even asking who the girl was, what her name was, that would fall under the violation of superstition, and it's a lav d'oraisa, it's a prohibition, it's a d'oraisa din that he's able to sanachashu. Which really I want to begin tonight's shir with a fascinating shaila which was presented by Rabbi Goldstein. That's the brother-in-law of Chaim Kanievsky and the son-in-law of Rabbi Yashiv in the Sefer Baruch Nafshi. If you want to look at it, it's on page Tavkov Chav Zayin. He discusses the following shaila. He says there was a story that came to his bez in Ma'aseh Shehaya that there was a couple, there's a Bnei Zug, that they split up. B'tzura kosher, v'gam k'shechlitu shaleim l'zgarish, even when the husband finally decided that he's masking to give a get, it took 4 years to bring both of them to the table. There was hostility, they were fighting amongst each other. Finally, after 4 years, they both came to the table. They come together to the Bezdin. The writing of the get takes a very long time. The Sefer writes the entire get. Many hours passed. But at least everybody was excited. They were happy. The husband's here, the wife is here. In a few moments, they're going to give the get. The Sefer finishes writing the get. The Sefer is about to hand over the get to the husband to give it to the wife. Before he picks it up, there's a cup of coffee on the table. The coffee spills all over the get. The get is nimchak. The get gets erased. And if they want to continue, they're going to have to start from scratch to write the get. When the lady sees this, maybe she was a Sardi, but when she sees this, she gets up out of her seat. She starts to scream out, she starts to call out in Bezdin. She says, I see a sign from heaven. 4 years of so much trouble to finally get the husband to give the get. We finally came both to the table. It took hours to write the get. And now the coffee spills on the get. It's a sign from heaven. It's a simon min hashamayim that I'm not supposed to get divorced, and I'm willing to continue and go back to the marriage. When the husband hears the wife say this, he said the same thing. It's an ois min hashamayim. It's a sign from heaven. And he's asking to go ahead with the marriage. The whole Bezdin, they're saying Mazel Tov, and they give them a bracha. And they left, they didn't get divorced. They tried one more time. So Zilberstein writes that the next day, the one who was in charge of the Bezdin, together with the Sefer, they came to Yiskim Mishaylo, if what they did was correct, if it was the right thing. Was there an issue of Lo Sanachashu? Here they are basing the future of their lives based on a simon. Because a cup of coffee spilled on the get, they want to say, that's it, let's go back to the marriage. It's not a good idea to get divorced. Is that an issur? Is that in violation of the issur of Lo Sanachashu? Writes of Zilberstein, he says like this, and he tells him that you're reminding me of a story that took place many years ago with a similar shiloh. What happened? He says, Ma'aseh Shehaya b'yeled. There was a story about a young child who needed a surgery. The doctor set up a date. You should come to the hospital on this and this date. Be on Misha on Sunday, the first day of the week. They're going to give the child surgery. What happened? The child breaks out with a tremendous fever. So they call the doctor. They have to push off the surgery. The child is dangerous to go to surgery with such a high temperature. So the doctor says, fine, let's make the surgery for next week Sunday. What happens? Sunday afternoon, the kid gets all better. The fever goes down. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the whole week, the kid's fine. What happens? Matzah Shabbos again. The night before the surgery, the child gets a high fever again. They call up the doctor to reschedule again for the following Sunday. Sunday afternoon comes, the kid gets better, the fever goes down, the kid's fine the whole week, and then Matzah Shabbos once again, the fever strikes, they can't do the surgery. It's happened over 3 times. The 4th time it happened, the father said, he says, they didn't call back the doctor to reschedule the surgery. They went straight to Hagoyin HaGadol Reb Leizer Shachs, Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh Baruch. And they came to Reb Shach and they asked him, Reb Zilberstein says he went with the father, because they first asked Reb Zilberstein the Shiloh what to do. Should we just not have the surgery? It must be a siman al Shemayim not to have the surgery. Let's forget about the surgery and hope for the best. He says, I took the father to Reb Shach. Shoal Rosh Yeshiva Ab. Reb Shach turns to the father and says like this, did the doctors say, did the doctors tell you that you have to have the surgery? So the father answers, the father says, yeah, he said we have to have the surgery. So he tells him, Im Kain, if that's the case, Atem Oiver Al Issa Nichush. Posak Maron Rosh Yeshiva Zatzal im Haroifim Oimim Lasis Nituach. Keitzer Anachnu Yicholim Loimer Bnei Shechoim Oile Kol Pam Leinasa Nituach. If the doctor says you need surgery, we can't base it on these side things, on these superstitions, that because a kid has fever, it must be he's not supposed to have the surgery. And if Shach Paskin, you have to go ahead, you got to go ahead with the surgery. The Kachava, they did the surgery, and the kid, Baruch Hashem, got better. So over here you see, Reb Zilberstein turns to the Sefer, to the guy who's writing the get, and says, it's not so pashut, it's not so simple, you just let them go like that. It's a borderline shiloh, we have of determining the future based on a simon that really could be has no basis. But
they were forcing them to
one is
divorce.
surgery for the person's health, other one's a divorce, the other one is like a
Easy.
divorce.
that's true, but what about the law of Leisenachashu? That's what he's dealing with.
But the couple didn't ask me.
Okay, so we'll see. We'll see, we're going to get to that.
I don't understand.
The gets and cleaves.
Send it.
It says it's about the sign of his name, and the thing spilled over.
Oh, okay, we'll get to it. I'm getting
Steal the show.
We're going to get there, we're getting to that. We're going to get to
I
that.
don't understand. The couple didn't ask Shaila.
The couple, they're right, they didn't ask, they asked the Shiloh after the story. They asked the Shiloh the day later, they asked the Shiloh too late.
Yeah,
But the question is, the Sefer wanted, maybe if it happens again, maybe he'll know what to do.
Oh, when it happens
If it
again.
happens another time, he'll know what to do. But then he says one second. He says, B'idach, he says, hold on. Move of the time of the crow. In the Sefer Time of the Crow, which was written by Chaim Kanievsky, Reb Chaim Kanievsky writes that he remembers that his uncle, the Chazon Ish, once summoned a person, he wanted to speak to somebody, so he made someone a shliach to go call that person. He tried the first time, he couldn't find him. He tried a second time, a third time. After the third time, the Chazon Ish says, if you couldn't find him after 3 times, it's a siman hashemayim that I'm not supposed to speak to him, so don't look for him anymore. Forget about the whole thing. And Chaim Kanievsky in the Sefer Time of the Crow brings out another story. The Chazon Ish, his wife brings him supper to eat, and as he's about to eat, the food's still warm. He hears a knock on the door. Someone had to speak to him about an urgent matter. He speaks to the person. The food cools down. So his wife takes the food, puts it back in the oven, and when it heats up, she brings him the food a second time. The moment she puts down the plate, there's another knock on the door. So after 3 times, the Chazon Ish says, it must be there's something wrong here with the food. 3 times in a row, exactly when the food's hot, that's when someone's knocking on the door. What happened? He said, I don't want to eat it anymore. And they found out there was a bean in the food that they didn't take off Maisa. It got mixed up with the rest of the beans. And because of this, his taco was a siman hashemayim. And therefore the Chazon Ish wanted to rely on the siman and kachab. He walked out and he saved himself from a bean that he didn't take off Maisa. But let alone these stories. Listen to a Maisa Nifla. A Maisa Nifla that took place with Reb Mordechai Bennett, the Marami Bennett. He was the Av Bezin of Nikolsburg. He was a great tzaddik. He was the Talmud of the Noid Yehuda. He lived in the years 1753 to 1829. He was the Rebbe of Rabbonim Peshischa. The Maram Bennett, he wrote Svarim on Shas, Chedusha Mordechai Bennett. What happened? He was the Rabbi Shalir Ve'im the Yisrael, Yair Nikolsburg. He was the Dayanim, one of the big Rabbonim in the city of Nikolsburg. I believe it was in Hungary. What happened? He went to the kingdom of Bohemia in the Austrian Empire, and Friday afternoon, right before Shabbos, he suddenly passed away. So it was right before Shabbos. They weren't able to send back the body to the city of Nikolsburg in Hungary because it was right before Shabbos. They would have had to wait to do the burial until Sunday. So the people in Bohemia, they went ahead and they buried the Marami Bennett. Now all the people in the city of the Maram Bennett, they said, 1 second, it's bad enough that we lost the Shtatz Rav, such a great tzaddik, but now that he's not even buried here, that we can't go visit his kever. And they went ahead and they went to the Chassam Sofer. And they asked the Heilig Chassam Sofer to pen a tshuva, to write a tshuva paskening that they have a schus to retrieve the body, and they should go ahead and rebury the body of the Maram Bennett in the city of Nikolsburg. What happened? Hey Boruch Sam Sefer Bigur Shir Lahadris and Iftel Beis Yilom and Biram Bakoyin Karamad Da'asav Beshach Shanim Rabbis. The Chassam Sofer goes ahead, he stayed up many hours that night, and he pens a tshuva, L'Bnei Nikolsburg, to the people of Nikolsburg, about Hitzdik as Tfiyos, and he said that they were right. Al Pidin, they have a Tfiyah, and they have to move the body. The Kosav Sheish Lahoitzias Hagoin Mekivra B'Lekover B'Nikolsburg. As soon as there's a story said over, he writes, says the way Reb Chaim Kanievsky told him over the story, that he's Makabel Midaidaris from his father, from the stipel, all the way back to the Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer finishes the tshuva. He's about to put it in the envelope to send it out to the city of Nikolsburg. The ink spills over. The entire tshuva is ruined. It's wiped out. The Chassam Sofer says, if this is the case, Rav Chassam Sofer bekach ois mishamayim shloi tzarech l'shleich es higeres ve'ikev es hatshuva etzloi. He didn't want to send out the tshuva. Let the body be buried in Bohemia, even though the people in Nikolsburg are right. Because we have a simon Hashemayim that the tshuva can't go out. Moreover, Rabbi said, the story's not over yet. Kavur 3 Chadashim, after 3 months later, the Marami Bennett b'chaloim shel Chassam Sofer, the Maram Bennett comes to the Chassam Sofer in the chaloim. V'sipeloi, and he tells him, let me tell you what happened. The reason why I was buried in Bohemia, I was buried next to a naira, to a young girl. That girl that I was buried next to, I was engaged to her. I broke the engagement, and she had a akpod on me. And being that she had a akpod on me, it was examined a shemayim that my body had to be buried next to her for 3 months. But says the Maram Bennett of Chassam Sofer, that the 3 months are over, I ask of you to please pen the tshuva again, send it to the people, the city of Nikolsburg, to have the body go ahead and be moved to the place where he was the Shtatz Rav. The Kacham, the Chassam Sofer says, unbelievable, Mamash Asimin and Hashemayim. So here, Zilberstein ends off over here, and he says, you see from over here, that there are sometimes you could rely on a siman. The Chassam Sofer, the Chazon Ish, the Chaim Kanievsky. There are many times that we could go bust to the siman.
He had a dream.
So, what?
He had a dream, wasn't it?
But he ripped up the tshuva before the dream.
I understand, but the dream came and told him to write it again, right?
Yeah, but the shaila is how did he go bust to the siman the first time? I mean, if we're talking about over here of Kavod HaMeis, it's not, and the Chassam Sofer held up, yeah, Halacha, he's mechuyev to be buried there. So we see from over here that there are times he could go bust to the siman. So when do we say it is a nachash, and when do we say it's not a nachash? So with this, we have to go to Gemara and Chulin. Once we get to the Gemara and Chulin, it's going to shed a lot, shed light to the sugya, and it'll bring us to a conclusion, the different shittas in the Rishonim, what's called a nachash, what's a superstition, when is it mutter, when is it asur. Says the Gemara like this, Chulin Tzadikei, Rav Haba Ka'azul L'Beir of Chanan Chasnei. Rav was on his way to his son-in-law. He wanted to go visit his son-in-law. He comes outside. The moment he steps outside, the ferry stops. Imagine like a person goes to the bus stop. The second he gets to the bus stop, the bus drives by ready to pick him up. So Rav, he's not used to this. This moment he stands outside, the train's ready to take him. So Rav says, it must be it must be today's a yontif. It must be a special day today. He gets to the son-in-law's house. He looks through the peephole, and he sees through the hole that there's meat that's hanging from the ceiling. So he sees the meat. He says, "Oh, that's the Yom HaTov. That was the big party. That was the simon. The ferry came. There's meat in the house. They're going to have a whole banquet of meat, of basar." He says, "Oh, now I understand why the ferry came." What happens? He knocks on the door. Tada Adosha, he knocks on the door. The butcher, everybody comes to the door to greet him, Rav. Now Rav realizes that everybody is now not looking at the meat. So Rav doesn't want to take his eye off the meat. Because he's worried about basar shen salam and ayin. You know the din is that you have basar, you don't want it to be in a salam and ayin. Says everybody's coming to greet him, Rav's eyes on the meat. And he turns to everybody and he says, "It's very nice that you came to greet me, but you should know it was me who saved the party tonight. Because if not for me, nobody would be able to eat the meat." Says the Gemara concludes, but Rav didn't eat the meat. Rav lo yochel mi bisra. Frek the Gemara akasha. Why did Rav eat from the meat? If it's because basar shen salam and ayin, he was looking at it, he never took his eye off it. L-Meiah says the Gemara, maybe this is the pshat. Maybe the reason why he didn't eat it is because the nachash, Ella the nachash. Maybe because Rav realized that maybe he sinned. Maybe he made a mistake. Because he went ahead when the ferry came, and he said, he used it as a simon that it must be to Yom HaTava today, and he used it as a simon that there's going to be some fancy meal tonight, there'll be a banquet, there's going to be something, and therefore, since maybe perhaps he was overless and he didn't want to partake in the meat. Perfecting where that can't be. Why can't it be? Because v'amar Rav kol nachash she'ena k'Eliezer Eben Avram. Any nachash, a superstition that wasn't done the way Eliezer Eben Avram did it, or Yonasan ben Shaul. What happened by Yonasan ben Shaul was that there were two people, him and his henchman, the Noisei Caleb, that they wanted to wage war against the Plishtim. Two people. And they went ahead and they made a simon. Yonasan tells the other person, he says like this: we're going to go to the city. If the gods, if the Shomim tell us that, you know what, you could go back to your place, and you don't even have to bother coming here, we'll come there, we'll fight against you. So if they say that, it shows that they're very confident, they're very strong, so then we know we can't fight the battle. But if we come there, and they're scared to come to us, then that means they're weak, and then we're going to fight them. So says the Gemara, that's a nachash. They're basing a mochama based on a simon. That depending what they're going to answer back, if they're going to come to us, it shows us they're strong. If they're going to stay put, it shows they're not strong. They're basing on a nachash, so therefore, says the Gemara, that was a nachash, and Rav himself said, kol nachash, she'enei Eliezer Eben Avram, u'kiyonasan ben Shaul, ze'en a nachash. So, which Rashi learns the Gemara means, is that when is there a violation of a nachash? That's only if somebody's 100% soymach on the simon that he made. If someone's soymach on the simon that he made, meaning he uses that as the barometer to make his decision, that's where the isser is. But if, let's say, someone doesn't use it as a deciding factor, it plays a role, it's a simon type, it's a simon ludover, but not that he's deciding, he's making his decision on the fact that he saw it, then that's not called a nachash. So affecting more by Rav, he didn't base it 100%, he would have went anyway. He didn't base it that he's only going because the ferry came. So therefore that's not called a nachash. A nachash is only something that's 100% that he's soymach alav. Rav would have went anyway to his son-in-law's house. So being that it's not a nachash like Eliezer and Yonasan ben Shaul, so affecting more, why did Rav eat the meat? And for the Gemara, you're right. It's not a nachash because Rav wasn't soymach on it the way Eliezer Eben Avram and Yonasan ben Shaul was. He didn't eat because Rav only ate by Sudas Mitzvah, he didn't eat by Sudas Rishos. Practical teretz. He only ate Sudas Mitzvah, he didn't eat Sudas Rishos. Frektais is a Kabbalah Kasha. Frektais is a Kasha, I don't understand this whole Gemara. You mean to tell me Eliezer Eben Avram v'im tomer Frektais is Eliezer heich nichish? How did Eliezer himself do it? There's a machlokes in the Gemara in Sanhedrin that kol amud b'parshas machashev ben Noach musar olav. We have a machlokes in the Gemara in Sanhedrin that one man says that ben Noach is musar on kishiv. So Eliezer Eben Avram, with the Kal Rabasi, the Mesechus Kal Rabasi says he went straight to Gan Eden alive. He was a tzaddik, domestic Eliezer. How was he able to be over there? Zok Taisus v'yesh loymar, dahu tana savar shloi nasan la'atzmidim at she'gidoloi bas miyat. Says Taisus that he wasn't samech on the simon. The pasuk says that the moment she went ahead and gave Eliezer to drink and the camels to drink, he gave it a ring even before he asked her name. Zok Taisus say mugdem locha batayr. It's not an order. But really, he wasn't samech on the simon itself, from the fact that he gave him and his camels to drink. He first inquired about it, he asked her who she was. What?
There's more chulin that said any nachash that's not like the nachash of Eliezer, and they have to come, there's no nachash there.
Pella the Gemara, what's the Gemara mean? So you might have a teretz. When you get to Iran, that's a tremendous kasha. So Taisa says that and it's not true. He wasn't samech on the simon. It wasn't the simon itself that he was samech on. And he says, I'll bring you a raya. When Eliezer came to Besuel, he said, I gave her the ring only after she told me who she is. There's a difference in the psukim. When he meets Rivka, the pasuk says he gave the ring first, and then he asked Bas Miyat. Mashenka, when he came to Besuel, it says, first I asked her, Bas Miyat, who are you? And only then did I give her the ring. So Taisa says, you see that really he is? Oh, so that's how Rashi learns. But Taisa wants to learn that it was Enes Soymach. So being that it was Enes Soymach, therefore it's not called a Nachash. And the pasuk says he gave the ring first. That's the way Taisa learns.
Why is it a nachash if you're trying to do something to figure out a story? I ask somebody, I want to hire him, I'm going to ask a question. If they answer this way, I'm going to hire him. If they answer that way, I know they're not for me. It's just a story, it's a logic.
Oh.
So when they went to war, yeah, if they do this, it makes sense to fight him. If they don't do it, then it's logic, it's not nachash.
Oh, beautiful. Zok around a different territory, as Rabbi Yaakov is saying. Zok around a different shot. Comes the Ran, and the Ran says like this. V'chein nirali b'tirutzin shel dvarim sha'nachash asur Torah is hu ha'toiles ma'asav b'simin shein asvar neisenes she'egorim tehelas l'davar. Says the Ran, no. A nachash is only something that makes no sense at all. A black cat passes my way. I walk under a ladder. All the superstitions they have today. You look in the mirror 12 o'clock at night, it means this. So over there says the Ran, that's called a nachash, because there's no svari, there's no logic to it. That's what the Gemara means is a pita nafel biyodoi. The bread fell out of the hand, the stick fell out of the hand. That's superstition, that's nothing. That's called a nachash. But in the case where there's logic to it, says the Ran, you're allowed to go ahead and make a simon, and he could even rely on the simon. So he says, Eliezer Aved Avram, what was he looking for? He's looking for a girl with good character, a girl with midas tovos. So therefore he picked the simon that makes sense. For example, a person wants to know, is it going to rain tomorrow or not? He says, if it's going to rain tomorrow, I'm not going to go. If it's not going to rain, I will go. That's not called a nachash. That makes sense. That's the way to kachi daka shalom. A person travels when it's nice outside, when it's not raining. He doesn't travel when it is raining. So it says the Ran that in these two cases of the Gemara, it's not a nachash because it made sense. Eliezer was looking for a girl that was in Balas Midas Tovos. She had good character, she had Midas Tovos. This would be a sign that she's worthy of Yitzchak. Yonasan ben Shol, it makes sense what he did. If they want to come to us, that means they're not afraid. We have to be careful. It's showing their strength. But if they're scared to come to us, they tell us we're only going to fight war if you come to us because we need home turf. So then you see that they're not as strong, they're weak. So therefore says the Ran, being that was logical, it made sense, it had credibility to it. Says the Ran, that's not called a nachash and it's 100% simon that's mutter. What does the Gemara mean? The Gemara says, Kol nachash she'ena ke'Eliezer Eved Avram is eina nachash. So up the Ran, what the Gemara means is that if somebody would make a simon and rely on it the way Eliezer, the Ran is arguing with Taisus. Really, he gave the ring first before he asked her a name. Because the Ran is learning that Eliezer relied on the simon and Yonasan ben Shol relied on the simon. But what the Gemara means is, Kol nachash she'ena ke'Eliezer Eved Avram, meaning that if one makes a simon and relies on it 100%, he relies on that simon, and the simon doesn't make sense, then it's a nachash. That's what the Gemara means. Kol nachash she'ena ke'Eliezer Eved Avram, meaning that you don't rely on it, then it's not a nachash. But if you do rely on it, then it is a nachash if it doesn't make sense. But if it does make sense, says the Ran, it's not a nachash. Beautiful teretz in the Ran. Because according to the Ran, a person could go ahead, he can make a similar davar as long as the simon makes sense. There's a svara behind it, and he could base his decision for the future. He could base what he wants to do based on the simon. Aini Gemara? No, says the Ran. The Gemara means that he soymech alav, but it's something that doesn't make sense. It's not understood. It's nafal pita biyadi, nafal naka biyadi. That's called the nachash. The Ran says, if you look later on in the Gemara says that there were 3 Amoraim who went ahead and they used to make siman before they did something. The Gemara says that Rav himself, before he would go out to travel, he would say that if the ferry comes the moment I walk outside, then it's a good siman, I'm going to take the journey. But if the ferry doesn't come out, then I'm not going to go. It's not logical. How did Rav do that? The same Gemara in Flun Sadikei, the Gemara says that's what Rav used to do. Before he ever left town, he had to go away. He made such a tanai. If the ferry comes right away, it's a simon Hashemayim, I should take the trip. If the ferry doesn't come right away, it's a simon I shouldn't take the trip. How can he do that? That's not logical.
Why is that logical?
What is the bus coming? The guy
comes, then the trip takes that. He can get going, and the ferry, the whole trip takes that much longer. If he has to wait for the ferry, then the trip's going to take that much longer. He doesn't.
But it wasn't a time. It wasn't a time issue. It was a simon Hashemayim. It's a simon like a. I mean, even if he had time.
But why is it any different than the case with Shol and Yonasan? It's the same thing.
Much different.
Why? If it's the same.
But that's logical as to whether or not they're going to be opposing you.
Right, that was showing the strength. Over here, it's nothing to do with time. He had time, but he felt it was a simon Hashemayim if it comes right away. So, around, how do they do it? There's no logic to that. The Gemara says that Rabbi Yochanan, he used to go to a tinnik. If you ever had a shiloh what to do, this we'll get to. There's a topic in it of itself. But he used to go to a tinnik and tell him, Poisli Psukach, tell me the first pasuk that comes to your mind. And from the pasuk that the child would tell Rabbi Yochanan, he would base his decision on the pasuk that the child gave him. Which again, this is a topic in and of itself about a Goyal Hagra. There's a fascinating Birkei Yosef. There's a Chidah. It's a share in and of itself. I don't want to really focus on that for a different time. But they say Rabbi Aaron Kalla, that's how when he was in Vilna. So Moshe Feinstein sent him and after David to come to America to help build Torah in America. So Rabbi Aaron Kalla wasn't sure what should he do. Should he come to America or should he go to Eretz Yisrael? So he went ahead. He did the Goyal Hagra. And the pasuk came out on the words, Vayomer Hashem el Aaron, Leich el Moshe Amidbara. Go to Moshe Midbar. So Aaron translated the pasuk Lecha Moshe. Go to Moshe Feinstein. Midbar, that's in America, and he used the Goyal Agra, which we'll see why it's something different than this. He based it on this fact that he should go to America. V'kachav, Rabbi 11, the legendary tzaddik, Rabbi Levine, the legendary tzaddik of Yerushalayim. He wanted to identify the 12 soldiers that were nifta from Gush Etzion. So he did a Goyal Agra, and he based the bodies of the soldiers based on this Goyal Agra. There's a fascinating sefer, Ema Ban Samecha, where the Ema Ban Samecha originally, he was nifta during the war. The Nazis killed him. He was running away from the Nazis in Machshama B'Zichram, and Rabbi Chil Dov Teichtel. In the beginning, he was very opposed to the Zionist movement. He held the shita of the Meches Elazar, of the Minkacher, of today, let's say in the 60s, what the Sabbath Rebbe wrote, and he's very opposed to it. He's very against it. But when the war started, and he saw how many Yidden were killed, so he saw how many Yidden were killed. He said he changed his mind. He wrote a whole entire sefer called Ema Banim Samecha of different chazals that he quoted by heart, that Imamish quoted by heart, of why it's so important to back the Zionist movement and how important it is to have Eretz Yisrael, how many lives would have been saved. And he also has over there, which we'll get to soon, but he also has a Shalos Teshuvos that he wrote there based on this concept, which we'll get to soon. But anyway, the Goyal Agra is something that we find. Again, we'll try to discuss in the future shiurim. But anyway, Rabbi that's what he used to do. Certainly Psuka. You ask for a pasuk, you base it on the pasuk. But Frek the Ran, how did Rav base it on pasuk Marva? How did he base it on the ferry? The ferry had no simon to it. Says up the Ran, I'll tell you the truth. When the Gemara says that Rav used the ferry as a simon, it doesn't mean that he was soymech alav mamish. It means that if he had different stuff and he wasn't sure what to do, and he had different reasons why not to go, so this would be a sniff with David. This would be able to finalize the decision. But to say that he was soymech on it, that he wasn't. That's the Ran shita. So we so far have two shitas. We have shitas HaTosfos, that it's only a nachash if he's soymech on it 100%, and we have the Ran that it's only a nachash on two conditions. There's no logic to it, and you soymech on it at 100%. Now let's go to a Rambam. The Rambam in Hilchos Avodas Kechavim writes like this. He brings down the whole Gemara of Ketzru Anachash. You go in Elu Shomer Nafel Piti, Nafel Makoli. If the stick falls down, the cat walks by, the fox walks by, and then he writes like this: V'chein ameisim atzmoi simonim. A person who makes for himself his own personal simonim. Esed of a ploini im yerli kach lekach. Esed of a ploini v'im lo yer lo yesi. He makes simonim. If this happens, I'm going to do this. If this doesn't happen, I won't do this. Ke-Eliezer but Avram, like Eliezer but Avram did. Kol kayoytze b'dvar me'elu is hakol aser. It's all forbidden. It's a violation of lo yisnachashu. And the Rambam concludes he gets malchus. Comes the Ravid. Listen to this lashon. Comes the Ravid, and the Ravid says, "You're telling me that if somebody makes personal simanim for himself, he's in violation of lo yisnachashu?"
Didn't Yaakov do that when he said, "Save him from Esau"? If Hashem saves him, then Aser Asrenim.
That's him. That's a tefillah. That's a tefillah.